Wife cheated with dozens of men. I'm a man in my 30s and was with my now ex-wife for 15 years. We have 3 young kids. We had been together from 21 years old to 37. Being in my early 20s when we first started dating, I ignored the huge red flags that she had cheated on her ex-boyfriend, whom she had lived with for several years. She even had a threesome with 2 guys while she was at work. She stated she just wanted to feel wanted. My instincts were telling me differently, but I stayed and tried to put it behind me. I was young, and I even assumed that we all make mistakes in life. Stupidly, I would later go on to ask her to marry me, even though I had a gut instinct telling me not to do it. After about 3 years of being married, in which I thought things were going fine, and we had our first baby, things started to change. That winter, she started going to her friend's house a lot more. Then she started sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night. We would go to bed at, say, 10 p.m., and I would wake up at 1 a.m. and find she was gone, and the car was gone. She would return around 4 a.m., and this went on for months. I would call her phone, but there was no answer. She had also started smoking and drinking. She had never been a drinker, but suddenly started. I was also in the middle of going into the military. We were arguing and fighting all the time as well. Where the hell was she going and what was she doing? I would phone and text her with no reply. She started smoking weed and drinking. I then left for basic training, and 5 weeks into training, she told me on the phone that she was pregnant. We had barely been touching each other, and I've carried this deep feeling ever since that my daughter is not mine. My boys are spitting images of me, but not her. Something has always just felt off. She lied and talked me into thinking she was mine, telling me I'm forgetting about the sexual occasions we had before. I know now that's gaslighting. I needed to focus on the training, and when I had gone home on leave, she was acting normal again, acting like a loving wife, and picked me up from the airport. During that leave, her female friend was looking after our son. My soon-to-be ex-wife got a text from her friend's boyfriend stating, "Come get your baby or I will expose your lover." My ex-wife had a story for everything, and yet again, I fell for it. I knew deep down there was probably a lover. I never did find out, and after I left the military for medical reasons, we moved to a new area far away, and life went on. For years, I've been terrified of a paternity test as it would crush me, and I'm so scared of destroying my little girl. However, I'm doing a paternity test this year. The person we believe she was cheating with was an unemployed alcoholic with bipolar disorder who lived with his mother in a trailer park. Stay classy. Her story has also changed. When I was coming home from the army, she said he had tried to kiss her. Nothing ever added up. She swears blind to this day that she never cheated, but going by what was to come, it is pretty clear she was indeed cheating. Fast forward to 2020, and this is when everything fell apart on a major scale. At the start of lockdown, a virus in early April, she started acting weird. She started hiding her phone. Normally we went to bed and it was face up beside the bed. Now it was face down and on silent. She also changed the passcode. Her attitude changed on a level I never knew she was capable of. She started screaming at me over minor issues. I would walk past her on the sofa and she would scream that I was giving her dirty looks. She kept shouting at me that I never loved her and I wanted a doormat. Everything I did was criticized. She was constantly angry and picked fights over everything. She then suddenly wanted to start going for walks on her own, which she had never done in 15 years. She had always had a turbulent relationship with her sister, and a year previously had wanted to ghost her from her life altogether. She started taking the kids with her to stay at her sister's every single weekend. The kids said she never left the house, but I think there's a possibility she was going out when they were in bed, or she was lying about going to the store. She changed passwords on all her social media, suddenly hid her friends list on Facebook, started drinking, and hid bottles of vodka around the house. Her phone was now glued to her, always in her pocket, even if she went to the bathroom. One Saturday night, she got so drunk she used the kitchen floor as a toilet. She then passed out, and her phone kept lighting up at 2 a.m. I got into it via her fingerprint, and that's when my whole world collapsed. She to this day does not even know half of what I found. I discovered she was sexting nearly 20 men via WhatsApp and Snapchat on a daily basis, storing their names under female names. She was making videos of touching herself at 6 a.m. when we were all sleeping and sending the videos and photos to them all. I caught her asking 4 men on Snapchat when they would be in the area to hook up. One of them ended a message saying, "Now you can go home and finish yourself off." I will assume she met him in his car. She kept cheating with one guy in particular, and despite being caught several times, she kept doing it. I went straight away to file for divorce the next day after discovery. She stated she had deleted her Snapchat and removed these men from her phone. I did, once again, gain access to her phone and found she had set up a new Snapchat under her maiden name and only had him added to it a few days later. I left a GoPro camera hidden in the kitchen recording and caught her on camera taking her shirt down and taking sexual photos of herself while the kids were 15 feet away in the other room. Not even 72 hours after lying straight to my face that there was no him and she was not cheating, I caught her red-handed. Then, one Sunday evening, maybe a month later, I was informed she was on Tinder. I had a look, and there she was, stating she had a boyfriend who wanted to watch her sleep with other men in front of him. She went into a sad sausage face when I confronted her and showed her the screenshots of her profile. Of course, she said it was not her, and just somebody being malicious. This person even managed to spell certain words exactly as she does. Her other excuse was that they did not use her full name. Think of using Phil instead of Philip. Plus, Tinder also shows distance, and this profile was within half a mile of our house. I said we should phone the police then and have it investigated. She stated she had bigger things to worry about, like our marriage, than a stupid fake profile. Within 20 minutes of the Tinder profile being found out, it had been deleted or set to hidden. I had friends check, and it was gone. Surely a catfisher or malicious person would have had zero idea that I had found the profile. I informed and showed my solicitors, and they asked how stupid she thought we were. About like the time I saw hickeys all over her right bosom, and she claimed it was from our child climbing over her. 3 young kids under the age of 11, and never once in those 11 years had any such bruising happened. She came home one afternoon and saw bruising on my right shoulder that looked like hickeys, and she went ballistic, screaming and throwing things at me. She does not do irony. Things then got really bad, and I was arrested for suspicion of assaulting her. This got social services involved, who then removed us from being together. It's too much to post all at once. I'm slowly trying to fit the puzzle together, but I know I won't, and what I've discovered is just the tip of the iceberg. The suspicion of common assault was dropped by the police as there was no evidence and no witnesses. It was her friend who phoned the police that night. My solicitors believed I was set up based on the evidence and the situation I was going through. My kids were interviewed twice by social services, but they stated there were no concerns at all towards child safety, and that I was clearly a decent father, and the kids deeply loved me. They merely wanted my ex-wife and me apart, and they declared I was not allowed to remain in the family home. She had then gone from ignoring me to messaging me about how much she ruined everything, and how she never stopped loving me and wishes she could go back so none of this had happened. Then she raged, screaming at me, accusing me of having girlfriends and screaming that they are expletive. I've not had any girlfriends nor cheated. She used to assault me, would grab me by the balls and dig her nails deep into me, causing pain for days. Then she'd get right in my face and tell me that if I even looked at another girl, she would cut my manhood off so I could never get it up again. Irony was, she did these assaults while herself cheating. 2 weeks before Christmas, she turned up at the house unexpectedly and assaulted me by punching me in the chest over and over while screaming, "You're mine! You're mine!" She even admitted to this assault via WhatsApp and promised that if she came over for Christmas Day with the kids, she would not hit me at Christmas. She tried to sleep with me. She even lied about the school therapist, stating my 9-year-old daughter was bipolar. I spoke to the therapist on the phone, and she stated she did not at any point mention bipolar, as she is not qualified to say such a thing. I ended up classified as homeless and now have my new home. My now ex-wife, as of 5 weeks ago, after the divorce hearing was granted for adultery, stated, "You've come out smelling of roses." On the day I sadly bumped into her while moving, how having 15 years of my life, losing my home and my kids counts as smelling of roses is beyond me. I should also mention that social services at no point met with me nor spoke to me to hear my side of the events. They just automatically took her side and removed me from the home. That day, she cried and said how she wished we could go back and that none of this had happened. Then, a week later, she turned to awful rage upon receiving the court letter about the time and date for the divorce hearing. She stated she threw out the items that belonged to me that she had asked me to leave. We are now in a situation of potential parental alienation, as I received 0 updates on the kids. No calls, no messages, no contact at all. She had previously promised that she would provide updates, calls, and photos on a regular basis. But sadly, that has not materialized, and she now states that she should not have to chase me. I'm aware via my solicitors that this can be a common form of abuse after divorce. I've been reading this group for months now, and the one thing I truly believe is that there are no second chances. Cheaters will try and hide the cheating better. They will lie, gaslight, blame shift, and set you up in extreme cases. What I've written above is only the tip of the iceberg as to what had been going on. I'm proud of myself for having divorced her. Comments. Let's get a couple of comments from the peanut gallery. Crix068 says, "Your worst enemy is your own passivity. Don't get me wrong, a cheater is going to cheat no matter what, but all the other abuse comes from her, knowing you would do nothing about it." I recently watched a clip from season 1 of Vikings the other day. It was the scene where Ragnar Lothbrok and the other Vikings came across the monks. I know how easy it was for them to massacre them and steal what they wanted, as these men had neither the means nor ability to defend themselves from this attack. It's a theme that has played out from the beginning of time. Being passive has never helped anyone. Standing your ground and being assertive has. Condor90046 says, "As one service member to another, thank you for your service. Now I'm going to tell you what I learned about relationships in my 12 years of service. You and I could go on for hours about what we have witnessed with infidelity concerning significant others and deployed teammates. I have seen the toughest of men break down and sob uncontrollably, finding out about what was going on back home. My team had to physically restrain a member who was packed and going AWOL to confront his wife and probably inflict great bodily harm on the affair partner, who probably had no idea he was coveting the wife of one of the baddest ass operators I've ever known in my career. I took a pretty good shot to the ribs, but we calmed him down and made him see reason. How did she get caught? The dumbass was going to do her nightly Skype call with him and set it all up. Unbeknownst to her, my teammate, who has always been very punctual, signed on 5 minutes early, and she had already hit connect and was waiting. He connects, and there she is, giving the affair partner a goodnight kiss right in line with the PC camera. So instead of him destroying his career, he filed for divorce instead. No kids, so a wife of our little family went over with another and told her husband knew, and if she were smart, she would pack her worthless ass up and move out of base housing before the end of the deployment. She did. I don't know why many of us men have a savior complex or white knight syndrome, but we do. We think we can take a fractured soul of a woman and show her that everything will fall into place after a year with us. I've tried it twice in my life, and the only result was losing a little bit of my soul twice, and being in the military just made it easier for them to make the bad choices they have been making all their lives. I will leave you with this. There is nothing you can do that will change this woman. All the love and kindness cannot and will not exorcise the demons that possess this woman's soul. The only thing it will cost is yours. This is years of therapy, and she's going to have to want to do the work and face those demons.